A summer afternoon in 2004. In darkened theaters across the world, audiences watched as a young man climbed a Ferris wheel and refused to come down until the girl agreed to go on a date with him. That man was Noah Calhoun. That girl was Allie Hamilton. And together they gave us one of the most iconic love stories of modern cinema. The Notebook wasn't just a movie. It was an event. It was the kind of romance that made audiences cry in the dark, clutch hands and believe, even if only for 2 hours, in the idea of timeless love. The chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams was electric, almost too real to be acting. The kiss in the rain became one of the most replayed, most quoted, most imitated scenes in movie history. But behind the screen, their story was far more complex. Gosling and McAdams weren't just playing lovers, they were navigating their own rising careers, personal struggles, and the heavy burden of overnight fame. For one, The Notebook would be the launching pad to Hollywood stardom. For the other, it would be both a blessing and a shadow, a role that fans would never let her forget. And now, 2 decades later in 2025, we look back. Who are Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams today? How did this film shape their lives, their careers, and their legacies? Because sometimes a love story doesn't just belong to the characters on screen, it belongs to the actors who carried it, and the audience that still remembers. Before he was Noah Calhoun standing in the rain and whispering, "It wasn't over." It still isn't over. Ryan Gosling was just a kid from Ontario, Canada, a boy who grew up in a working-class family, raised in the traditions of the Mormon Church. Shy, awkward, and often bullied at school, he escaped into performance. Acting wasn't just a hobby for Ryan. It was survival, a way to belong. At only 12, he landed a spot on the Mickey Mouse Club, singing and dancing alongside future icons like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Justin Timberlake. But while many of his peers shot to pop stardom, Ryan struggled in obscurity. When the show ended, he drifted between small television roles. He was talented, but he wasn't famous. Not yet. Then came the turn. By the early 2000s, Ryan carved a niche for himself in independent cinema. The Believer, 2001, showed his raw intensity. Murder by Numbers, 2002, hinted at his leading man potential. He was building a reputation, but he was still on the edges of Hollywood. And then, The Notebook. The role of Noah wasn't an easy sell. Nicholas Sparks's novel had a loyal fan base, and audiences demanded an actor who could embody both the vulnerability of young love and the rugged devotion of a man who never lets go. Gosling wasn't the obvious choice. He wasn't yet a household name. He didn't have the chiseled look of a typical Hollywood prince. But maybe that's why he was perfect. On screen, Gosling was authentic. His Noah was tender but stubborn, romantic but flawed. When he looked at Rachel McAdams, the world believed he loved her. Their chemistry was so palpable it spilled off screen, transforming the film into more than just a drama. It was a cultural moment. Almost overnight, Ryan Gosling went from indie darling to Hollywood's newest heartthrob. Posters of him as Noah filled bedrooms. His rain-soaked kiss with McAdams won the MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss, an accolade that fans still replay on YouTube 2 decades later. But Gosling wasn't seduced by the title of romantic lead. If anything, he resisted it. After The Notebook, he avoided typecasting, turning to darker, more complex roles in films like Half Nelson, 2006, and Drive, 2011. It was as if he wanted to prove that Noah Calhoun was only one piece of him, not the whole story. And yet, no matter how many films he made, audiences kept coming back to The Notebook. Because for millions, Ryan Gosling will always be Noah, the boy who built the house, the man who waited, the lover who never gave up. But while Gosling used The Notebook as a springboard, what about his co-star? For Rachel McAdams, the film would define not just her career, but the expectations that followed her for years. If Ryan Gosling was the steady flame in The Notebook, then Rachel McAdams was the spark that set it ablaze. Her role as Allie Hamilton wasn't just another romantic lead, it was the kind of performance that could make or break a young actress. And for Rachel, it made her. Like Gosling, McAdams hailed from Canada. Born in London, Ontario, she grew up in a middle-class household, a far cry from the dazzling world she would later inhabit. As a child, she was more interested in figure skating than acting, competing seriously until her early teens. But when she discovered theater, everything shifted. The stage became her ice rink. Performing gave her the same rush, but with a freedom that felt limitless. She studied theater at York University in Toronto, honing her craft, immersing herself in Shakespeare and Chekhov, not Hollywood blockbusters. For Rachel, acting wasn't about fame, it was about depth, authenticity. When she landed her first film roles in Canada, she had no idea she was about to be swept into international stardom. In 2004, lightning struck twice. First came Mean Girls, where she played Regina George, the deliciously cruel high school queen bee. Her performance was iconic, hilarious, and instantly quotable. But it was The Notebook, released just months later, that showcased the other side of her range: vulnerability, romance, heartbreak. As Allie Hamilton, Rachel was luminous. She wasn't playing a stereotype, she embodied a young woman torn between love and duty, desire and expectation. Audiences didn't just watch her, they believed her. And when she kissed Ryan Gosling in the rain, cinema had its new queen of romance. Overnight, Rachel McAdams became America's sweetheart. She was hailed as the new Julia Roberts, the next Meg Ryan. Magazine covers crowned her the future of Hollywood. Casting directors scrambled to offer her romantic comedies, dramas, anything to bottle the magic of Allie Hamilton. But with fame came pressure. Rachel, like Gosling, resisted the trap of typecasting. She turned down big roles, disappeared from Hollywood for stretches of time, and pursued smaller, more nuanced projects. Critics praised her choices, but fans missed the girl they had fallen in love with in The Notebook. And yet, even as she built a serious career with films like Spotlight 2015, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and Doctor Strange in the Marvel Universe, the shadow of Allie lingered. For millions, Rachel McAdams would always be the girl on the dock, her summer dress whipping in the wind, torn between the life she was told to live and the love she couldn't deny. But while Rachel found a way to balance romance and respectability, both she and Ryan would learn the same truth: the higher the pedestal, the harder it is to stay balanced. And the years after The Notebook would bring challenges neither of them could avoid. The Notebook was more than a movie. For Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, it was a tidal wave. The world suddenly knew their faces, their names, their kiss. Fans shipped them off-screen, tabloids followed their every move, and Hollywood labeled them its new golden couple. But what happens after you've starred in one of the most iconic romances ever filmed? For Ryan Gosling, the pressure was suffocating. He never wanted to be the heartthrob pinned to bedroom walls, yet that's exactly what he became. Studio offers poured in: rom-coms, melodramas, formula scripts meant to cash in on Noah Calhoun's quiet devotion. Gosling turned many of them down, frustrating agents and producers. He chased credibility instead: a drug-addicted teacher in Half Nelson, a socially awkward loner in Lars and the Real Girl, a quiet driver in Drive. He reinvented himself through grit, but it wasn't without consequence. For every daring choice, he risked alienating fans who still wanted Noah, still wanted the boy who wrote 365 letters. Rachel McAdams faced a different battle. Hollywood wanted her to be the next big romantic lead, the Julia Roberts of her generation. Scripts flooded in, but Rachel hesitated. She stepped away from the spotlight at times, turning down roles in blockbusters like The Devil Wears Prada and Mission Impossible 3. Critics praised her selectivity, but the industry is not patient. In Hollywood, disappearing even briefly means risking irrelevance. For a while, whispers began had Rachel squandered her moment. And then there was their off-screen relationship. Life imitated art when Ryan and Rachel became a couple in real life after the film. Fans were ecstatic. Tabloids went wild. They were the perfect extension of Noah and Allie. But behind closed doors, it wasn't a fairy tale. The intensity that had fueled their on-screen chemistry spilled into real life as conflict. Their romance was passionate but volatile. They broke up, reconciled, and eventually parted ways for good. To fans, it was heartbreaking, as if Noah and Allie's love story had been stolen from them. By the late 2000s, both actors found themselves in complicated positions. Ryan was respected but boxed into the serious actor role, and Rachel was adored but accused of being inconsistent. The Notebook had made them, but it also haunted them. Because what Hollywood rarely admits is that sometimes success is the biggest trap of all. 2 decades have passed since The Notebook turned Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams into household names. The world has changed. Streaming dominates, franchises rule the box office, but their names still carry weight. What are they doing now in 2025? Ryan Gosling managed the rare feat of escaping typecasting. After years of carefully chosen indie films, he stepped back into the mainstream in spectacular fashion. La La Land 2016 proved he could sing, dance, and break hearts all over again, earning him a Golden Globe and an Academy Award nomination. Blade Runner 2049-2017 showed his gravitas, while The Gray Man 2022 tested his action hero chops. Then came Barbie 2023, 1-4. As Ken Gosling leaned into comedy, self-awareness, and nostalgia, and suddenly a new generation discovered him. Critics and fans alike praised his ability to transform. He's no longer just Noah Calhoun, he's Ryan Gosling, a Hollywood powerhouse husband to actress Eva Mendes and father of 2 daughters. He has carefully shielded his family from the spotlight, a deliberate contrast to the chaos of his earlier years. Rachel McAdams, meanwhile, built a quieter but no less impressive legacy. After The Notebook and Mean Girls, she could have lived forever in the romantic comedy lane. Instead, she pursued range. In Spotlight 2015, she delivered an Oscar-nominated performance in a film that won Best Picture. She dipped into the Marvel Universe with Doctor Strange 2016-2022, showing her global appeal. Yet unlike Gosling, Rachel often disappeared from Hollywood between projects, choosing family life over relentless fame. She became a mother, moved away from Los Angeles, and embraced a more private existence. Today, in 2025, she continues to balance occasional major roles with raising her children content to let her work, not tabloids, define her. Together, their journeys tell 2 very different stories of survival in Hollywood. Ryan leaned into transformation, using every role to prove he was more than a heartthrob. Rachel leaned into balance, refusing to let the machine consume her. And yet, whenever audiences re-watch The Notebook, they don't see La La Land's Sebastian or Spotlight's Sasha Pfeiffer. They see Noah and Allie. For millions, Gosling and McAdams will forever be frozen in that kiss in the rain, 2 young actors immortalized in a love story that never grows old. Because some films fade with time, but others, like The Notebook, live forever in the movie, in the actors, and in the audience that still remembers. The Notebook was released in 2004, but here in 2025 it hasn't aged a day. On streaming platforms, it continues to rank in the most rewatched lists. TikTok trends still recreate its rain-soaked kiss. Teenagers who weren't even born when the film premiered discover it now and cry like their parents once did. The movie has crossed generations, and at the heart of it are 2 actors who gave everything to those roles. Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams were not yet superstars when they played Noah and Allie, but they carried the story with such raw emotion that audiences believed every word, every glance, every fight, and every kiss. Their legacy is not just in the careers that followed, but in the emotional fingerprint they left on popular culture. Ryan's journey proves that an actor can start as a heartthrob and grow into a respected, versatile performer. His Ken in Barbie is a wink to the world that once boxed him in, proof that he can play with his image while transcending it. Rachel's path shows that it's possible to step away to value privacy and family, yet still return with powerful performances that remind audiences of her talent. But perhaps the true legacy isn't theirs alone. It belongs to the story they helped tell. The Notebook became a cultural shorthand for eternal love, the kind of story that makes people believe in soulmates, even if only for 2 hours in a dark theater. It shaped how a generation saw romance. It set an impossible standard and at the same time gave comfort to those who wanted to believe in forever. So what do we make of it 21 years later? Maybe that's the secret of films like The Notebook. They don't just show us characters, they show us ourselves, our longings, our heartbreaks, our hopes. And when the rain falls and we see Noah lift Allie into his arms, we don't just see Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams. We see love the way we want it to be, fierce, imperfect, but unforgettable. Because some stories don't belong to the past. They live with us. They shape us. They remind us of who we were when we first believed in love. What do you think? Does The Notebook still hold the same magic for you today as it did in 2004? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more celebrity stories, the rise, the fall, and everything between.